XX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 2112. Offices in Baton Rouge. Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill, on a Friday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios downtown in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer, that's Hill, Jeremy Hill. Casey Gaines and Taylor Sharp on the ones and twos, fired up for a lot of action on this Friday. Sports gambling legal in Louisiana. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about LSU basketball. Of course, we'll talk about the conference championship games to come, but we want to start by going to Alec Box Stadium. It is media day over there, and first-year head coach Jay Johnson is at the mic. We will return after about 15, 18 minutes of his opening statements. Let's go to Alec Box Stadium right now.
On the preseason preparations, and then, of course, the assembled media will ask questions of the coach, and we'll learn a little bit about what we can expect coming up when the season begins in less than a month as the Tigers open up at home at Alec Box Stadium against the Maine Black Bears coming up on Friday, February 18th. That first pitch coming against the Bears at 6:30. Game 2 on Saturday at 1:30. And the series finale on Sunday at the Box at 1 o'clock. We'll be sending you over to the Champions Club at Alec Box Stadium. And now we'll hand it off to longtime baseball SID, Mr. LSU Baseball, Bill Franquez.
What you need. I will say that naturally there may be some players who aren't here yet who may still be in class, so we may not have the entire team out there. But I think most of the guys you need will be available from approximately 12:45 until 1:45. So we'll close down interviews at about 1:45, and then at about 2 o'clock, Coach Jay and the team will start practice. And they have a scrimmage scheduled for 3 o'clock this afternoon, with the first pitch for the scrimmage being at 3 o'clock. Also a reminder, Grant from our office asked that those of you who'd like to cover Coach Mulkey's press briefing today, she'll start at 2:20 over at the Courtside Club in the PMAC. So that'll be going on as well. I believe that is it from me. As far as credentials are concerned, if you guys, some of you already have, but if you would just email me your credential request, and we'll start. I'm going to be working on those over the next few weeks. Of course, the opening game will be February 18th, LSU playing University of Maine. First pitch on Friday the 18th will be at 6:30, and we'll be working on getting your credentials together and parking accommodations, and I'll get you all that information in the coming weeks. So I believe we're just about a little bit after noon, so we're about ready to go. I'll go ahead and we'll bring up a gentleman beginning his first season as the head coach of the LSU Fighting Tigers, Coach Jay Johnson.
Welcome. This is outstanding. It's one of the things that separates LSU is the interest in our program, and what a great start to that to have all of you here and covering our team. I don't think this exists many places in the country, and outstanding. So just a little background and backing up a little bit, I would say for the fall, our team invested their time incredibly well, had a great semester in the classroom, really productive on the field in terms of fall training, implementing some things, really focused on player development, on the strength and conditioning piece, and just individual things that we wanted each player to set out to do. So I think that was great. I think when you're building a new program or a new culture, each step is critically important. This was our players' first crack with us using December, the month of December on their own. That's really important in baseball when you talk about pitchers ramping up and building pitch counts and being conditioned properly. And I'll give our players a lot of credit for doing a good job with that. We've made the most of our time with the limited hours over the last 2 weeks, and we're productive in that phase. And now we need to get to scrimmaging, full hours of training allotted so we can take the next step in preparing for the season. Looking at what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish, really, putting it into 3 phases. And number 1 is creating, the identity, or what I would call our process of winning, and really getting our hands around that and the things that we need to do to be successful, mastering the fundamentals that encompasses, that process encompasses, and then really becoming a connected team with a group of players that will now place the needs of the team above their own. I think when you turn the corner on the spring, we're always going to focus on development and player development in our program. It becomes about the team. And I think our players have done a good job, at least in the initial phases of that. And that'll be important with the challenges that come throughout the season or playing in the SEC, that we remain in that character and we're working to develop and build that character of the team. Next 3 weeks are my favorite time of the year. I feel like it's when we can make the most impact on improvement as coaches. There's a couple things that we need to do. We need to get prepared and continue to improve. That will be the task at hand right now. And then also, kind of get to know our personnel even a little bit further, because with the competition right around the corner, we want to be at a good starting point, put ourselves in position to have some success with the right pieces in place. And then it's inevitable over a 56 to 70 game college baseball season, you're going to find the right combination the longer that you go. And when you have a team like ours with some depth, it may not look the same, in game 10 as game 1, and that's okay. And that's part of it, or in the middle of the season or in the postseason. And so we'll work at finding that right combination, at least at the outset here over the next 3 weeks, and then work towards what I would call that best team. Kind of what I would say has been the best positive so far is the buy-in of the players in terms of what we're trying to accomplish in terms of their mindset, their improvement, the development of the group. We've had zero resistance on any of that. So I think that's helped us to be productive to this point, and the expectation will be that they continue in that frame of mind and in that positive attitude, so that we can continue making really good strides. Right now, there's obviously a lot of excitement about the season, and naturally so. I think we'll really focus on, the self-discipline piece of it for them to stay focused on the task at hand and not complicate anything. And like I said, right now, that's still about improving and preparing. And so for us, the next 3 weeks will go by fast, but we're going to have to stay committed to those things so we can put ourselves in the best position to be successful. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Coach. Right here. David from Rivals. Overall health of the team coming into the spring, and then a player like a K. Beloso, what have you seen from him for him to be able to bounce back from what a lot of people will say was a subpar sophomore season?
Yeah, relative to the health, I think we're healthy. I think, the players did a really good job of moving towards the things they needed to do to be ready. We'll play. They'll be on their feet now for 7, 8, and 9 inning scrimmages, so that's a different type of conditioning. We've tried to ramp them up slowly, specifically with the pitchers. I anticipate everybody being available for opening day, and obviously there's time, between now and then where that could change, but I think we're in a good spot. Relative to Kate, I enjoy talking about that. I think, humility is something we're always trying to teach our players. And, he came in the summertime shortly after I was hired, and, we popped on a little bit of video and said, hey, what can we do, how to dive into this? And he's been incredibly coachable, and more importantly than that, has put in the work necessary to improve and had a really productive fall in terms of the quality at bats that he was taking. And I think the results showed that in terms of his productivity. And I believe if he continues on that path, can be an important part of what we're doing.
Hey, Coach, here in the back, a little more about the pitching rotation. How do you foresee that in terms of the calendar and moving forward into the SEC? And along with that, Devin Fontenot, a while back, it was said he may start. Are you looking to do that?
Yeah, good question. I think right now the important piece has been the ramp up of all of them in terms of getting them in condition. And so we've kind of itemized a group of guys that we're going to extend pitch counts with, and then a group of guys that need to be able to maybe go multiple times a week or in one 3-inning bolt, and then wait until they're ready to go again. So in terms of Devin, he's a part of that group that we're extending pitch count. Again, the next 3 weeks are really important, to see where we're at. I think with college-age baseball players, they can change from day to day. And certainly a guy with like Devin's experience, you certainly hope that he's prepared. I have no doubt about his competitiveness. I think he's done some things from an executing standpoint in terms of his pitchability, where I think you'll see some improvements to where he might be able to extend, innings. And, again, over the next 3 weeks, we'll kind of see that.
Hey, Coach, compared to what you've seen from this year's team, are there any differences between last year's squad and what you're building now?
Well, I certainly hope so, and I mean that in terms of improvement. I think what I've always noticed is the biggest jump a player typically makes playing for us is between their first and their second year with us, or their first and second year in college. I think we have a little bit of a benefit of some freshmen playing last year and playing in some high-leverage games. I mean, there was a point in the season where I don't think LSU was in position to make the NCAA tournament. And so every weekend was like a playoff-type weekend. And then getting an opportunity to go to a regional and play in 5 games and then participate in a super regional, I hope that they will draw from that experience. And then, obviously, we don't want them to look the same, physically and certainly not mentally. And I think you'll see that. I think we're counting on, the improvement of those guys. I mean, everything for us is about improvement on a daily basis. And in terms of investing their time well in the fall, I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Just curious how you remain flexible when you're trying to solidify pieces in these next 3 weeks. How important is it for you to kind of keep an open mind to everything?
Yeah, I think we're very organized in terms of what we're doing with that. Like I said, developing a plan of maybe this group is going to be a twice through the order or, starter type pitch count situation. These guys need to be able to rebound faster, looking at where the pitcher or the position player can be put in a position to be successful. I mean, that's coaching to me. And so we have some work to do on that. And I have faith in a lot of guys. I'm really excited about the pitching staff. I think our offense gets a lot of credit. There's a lot of really talented players that have had a lot of success individually that you guys know about, and I feel like the staff more than held their own, in the fall. And excited to see how those things line up. We're just not there yet, and it'd be disrespectful to any one of those guys to say, "Hey, this guy's earned this spot." We're just not there yet.
Hey, Coach, Jared Paul Joseph, Fox 44 in Baton Rouge. You talked about the offensive players and how players can make a jump from one year to the next. And in the last couple of months, you've given Cade Doty a lot of praise. What are you expecting to see him jump mentally and physically this season?
Yeah, in terms of you're asking about Cade, I think he's a talented player. I'm very familiar with him. I saw him when he was 15 years old. Began recruiting him at Arizona. That probably wasn't very smart that a kid from right down the street that is that good is going to come play at LSU, which now I'm very happy that he chose to do that. Very versatile. I think when I look and watch him in the field, the way he moves, he looks like a future major league player in terms of his athleticism, his versatility. He can do a lot of things well. Incredibly competitiveness, has that makeup to want to get things right, has some real winning type qualities, and can impact the game in a lot of ways in terms of his ability to impact the ball at the plate, move the offense or manage the strike zone. Is a very good base runner in terms of instincts, running them smart and aggressive, and probably one of those guys that could play every position on the field. So very, very happy he's on our team.
Coaching is in the same corner. Megan KTC from Lafayette. You talked about the freshman class from last year, some of the freshman players, but Grant Fontenot and Josh Stevenson, what do you make of their progression or efforts so far?
Yeah, I think it's been a crash course for, that first-year group of players. They committed here, and then there's a coaching change. And so, really tried to get off to a good start with those guys and building, relationships with them. I think there's a number of guys that can make a positive contribution. Grant Fontenot, I think, is the first one that you asked about, has a terrific arm. I think he needs to get some experience behind him and a guy that the next 3 weeks are really important for us to be able to get him out on the mound 4 or 5 times against some really good hitters will really benefit him. Josh Stevenson was the other one. He's a left-handed hitter. He's incredibly athletic, has a great future ahead of him. And, this year, just that outfield is pretty loaded with good players. And so the ability of any of them to continue to take quality at bats, move the offense, and help the team win is kind of where, those at bats will go. But I'm really excited about Grant and Josh. I could see why, Coach Maneri and his staff recruited them here. And now they need to get some experience under their belt.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Glenn West with LSU Country up front here. I guess, talk about your catcher situation. Obviously, you welcome Tyler McManus, with Alex Milazzo. Just what do you think is the group? What do they look like so far, I guess, kind of from fall heading into spring?
Yeah, when taking the job and analyzing the roster and having to do things quickly, creating balance within the team was really important, and we had the benefit of the transfer portal this year. And so, Tyler being from Louisiana, there was a coaching change at Samford, and I was contacted about him and then quickly looked at some video, assessed our situation, and moved on it pretty quickly. And then, again, he's a guy that I give a lot of credit to. We felt like even though he'd been successful, there were some adjustments he would need to make to be successful at LSU or in the SEC or against the great schedule that we're going to play. And he's gone about that in a very professional manner, did a great job behind the plate in terms of managing the pitching staff, catch and throw. Alex is one of the most improved players on the team, in my opinion. He has special skills as a receiver, thrower, blocker, does a great job building rapport with the pitching staff and keeping those guys in the right lane, and has had a good, first couple weeks offensively, and has really bought into the things that he needs to do to be a productive player to help move the offense. And then we're also hoping to get and getting closer to getting Hayden Travinsky back. And so he's certainly a talented player. We did not get to see him do anything in the fall. He'll take his first at-bats today, so that'll be great. And then should be able to move into being able to catch here hopefully next week or the week after.
There were 3 players from Arizona that came here: Jacob Berry, Bryce Collins, Riley Cooper. I'm wondering what went into the decision to recruit them to come to LSU, and what did they each contribute to this team?
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy one. They're all very good players, very productive players. When you look at Jacob, he was one of the best players in the country, regardless of age level. Last year, one of the best hitters that you'll find in college baseball. When you look at Riley, I pitched 29 times for us last year. I think he got a win in the opening game of the regional. He got a win in the first game of the super regional, and then pitched like an inning or 2/3 or 2 innings scoreless against Vanderbilt and in Omaha. And then with Bryce, was a really high profile recruit at the time, was one of the best pitchers we'd recruited to that school, and had Tommy John his first year, and he's missed 2 years, and now he's finally back. So really excited for him. His last 2 weeks have been his best 2 weeks, in the last 2 years, which is awesome to see. And there's another element of that too. If we didn't bring him here, they were going directly to our competition. I mean, so I'm not doing my job if I let that happen.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
You're just hearing Jay Johnson, first-year head coach of the Fighting Tiger baseball program. Media Day over there at the box scrimmage at 3 o'clock today. Open to the public if anybody wants to go check the Tigers out in an inter-squad at 3 o'clock. I want to react to everything that Jay had to say there as he continues to talk. We'll update you on anything that breaks on Twitter as he continues on. But we got a ton to get to here until 2 o'clock. We've got LSU basketball to get you ready for. We've got sports betting in Louisiana that's gone live. And we also want to talk about the conference championship games coming up on Sunday. So a loaded 2 hours here. We're just getting started on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
We tell you all the time about Sync Wellness and those customized programs they put together specifically for you. Put together a customized nutrition pack, customized for you, as we said. And the reason they do that and the way they do that is with their micronutrient testing. And through January 31st, so you still got a few days, if you get on by Sync Wellness, $50 off of that micronutrient test. They are such an awesome resource here in Baton Rouge, Angie is phenomenal. Stop by and see them sometime this weekend, and they'll tell you what they've got to offer.
Yeah, Sync has all the professional products to help you stay well and keep your immune system strong. One of their most popular items is their pharmacist-curated immune pack, conveniently packaged with vitamin D, vitamin Z, and zinc in the doses you need to stay well. They also have their immune support IV hydration pack with vitamin C, vitamin B, and zinc. And if you're feeling too ill to walk into their suite, their registered nurses will administer your IV curbside.
They're just north of I-10. You take the Highland exit, get off on Old Perkins right there. You can't miss them. Sync Wellness right there in that shopping center. Stop on by this weekend. $50 off of the micronutrient test. Sync Wellness and synkwellness.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
You know Miller Lite only has one more calorie, right?
More taste. Good choice.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, reminding you they now have 8 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And if you're looking for that COVID test for holiday travel, or you have a holiday event coming up, they're the place for you, as well as a flu shot. It's starting to creep up here during flu season, so if you need that shot, make sure you get that. They now have some available through December. You can find more information on their website, patientplusuc.com. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs.
Monday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're live at Rouge Creole in Perkins Row, recapping all of the college and NFL action from the weekend on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Heard from Jay Johnson there in the first segment. First-year skipper for the LSU baseball program. A couple things that I took from those notes. Look, after covering LSU's football team in the fall, and then whatever the Saints were putting out there in the fall, and now LSU's basketball team in the last 3 weeks, just hearing him say that everyone's going to be healthy for opening day as of this point was very encouraging. Obviously, Jacob Berry dealt with some hamstring tenderness in fall. He got shut down. We've seen Jordan Thompson was on crutches as of last week. Sounds like he's progressing. Maybe not ready for opening day, but he might be. He mentioned Hayden Travinsky, who's going to take some live at-bats. Big, talented catcher from North Louisiana. Bryce Collins was a guy he mentioned, is a pitcher who was committed and signed at Arizona, but he's had Tommy John, has missed 2 years. Looks like he's going to be back. At the very least, it's nice to talk about a healthy team.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the injury bug biting the program. This football program definitely got it at the highest order you could possibly ask for at the worst time. So for this baseball team who has really aspirations of getting to Omaha and just all the bats they have in this lineup, you want to be going into this season healthy and really firing at all cylinders. And I think that's what Coach Jay Johnson mentioned, a couple injuries, like you said. But for the most part, you got a healthy ball team. So that's exactly what you want to have at this point.
And this is an answer he's given a lot over the last couple of weeks about the starting rotation. He'll continue to be asked about it leading up to the season, after the first weekend, after the second weekend. He's going to continue to get asked this question because it's something that people just continually look after. And it appears to me that the answer is pretty clear when he's talking about the pitching rotation. There are 7 guys he's identified that he's going to try to stretch out. They'll start throwing 3 innings this week. They'll ramp it up to 4. When the season starts, they'll probably throw 3, 4, 5. And if someone proves they can be effective for the duration of that outing, they'll see if they've got somebody on the staff that can give them 7 innings as a starter. Right now, no one's proven they can do that, so he's going to have to find those guys. I could give you a guess, and we may do that next week moving forward. Not really the time for it today, but he did say that Devin Fontenot is one of those guys. It's one of those deals, Jeremy, you're familiar with some of these across different sports, where when you decide to come back for a year instead of going to the draft, in whatever sport it is, oftentimes there are some guarantees and promises are not the right way to frame it, but some opportunities that are going to be afforded someone who comes back on the offensive end in basketball. If they say, if an NBA scout looks at you and says, you really have got to improve your outside jump shot, okay, we'll work on that with you, and we'll allow you to do some of that in the game. And you're talking about, you're going to see different opportunities present themselves. And Devin Fontenot was very likely told, hey, we'll give you the opportunity to start. I'm not telling you you're a starter for 14 weeks in the regular season, but you've been a bullpen guy for us. You've been a closer for us. The Major League Baseball scouts will want to see if you can start. I think they're going to give him the opportunity to start. It's just something that makes sense when you pass up a chance at professional baseball to come back for one more year.
Yeah, I feel like that's the least his coaching staff could do, especially a guy who's given so much to the university and coming back to do more. You got to give him that shot. If he totally airmails it and it just doesn't do a good job, then of course you can put him back in his normal role. But for a guy that's coming back and doing those things, I think you have to. I think you got to give him a shot to go out there, see what the arm has, see if he can stretch those innings out, see if he can help this team get outs. I think it's the elephant in the room for this baseball team, really finding a guy that's going to be your Friday night starter. I think he's probably one of the higher guys on that list that I would give a shot to.
I think he'll throw the first pitch of the season out. That's my thought. If he's the Friday night guy, that would surprise me. I think that there are other guys who I would look to in that role first. I think Eric Raiselman is a guy that I would look to there. I think Javen Coleman has an opportunity to do something there. I'm not even going to close the door on somebody like Cale Lansville stepping in there and doing it. I think that's a long shot, but I just liked what I saw from him. I haven't talked to anybody over there about it. I just personally have enjoyed that. He is a true starter. He's polished. He's got 3 pitches. I think that's a long shot. Again, I would not bet on that. It's just something that I'd like to throw out there. And there are a lot of bullpen arms that this group's going to throw out. You're talking about 19 pitchers on the roster, so you're looking at 12 that are potential bullpen pieces. So that's very big. The last piece I want to get to before we kind of get back on the tracks time-wise here in the first hour of the show, still a ton to get to, is he talked about Alex Milazzo as in part of that catcher discussion. And Tyler McManus is going to get a lot of the notoriety from here because he's a big-time bat. I went out there in the fall. He's hitting opposite field home runs into the right field seats. He's got serious power and showed that last year at Sanford. Milazzo struggled all year offensively last year. That is not a secret. He's also a tremendous defensive catcher. And if you heard Jay Johnson there said he's very improved. He's had a really good first couple of weeks offensively. They've got a couple more weeks to keep getting him up to speed. You've got a staff now that has a track record of developing hitters. Milazzo is already a great catcher, which is the most important thing behind the plate, but you can't have a guy back there that's hitting 130. Like, that's not I don't care how good you are on defense. You've got to produce a little bit more than that offensively. If Milazzo can give you something in the neighborhood of 235, now you've really got something. But he wasn't there last year. Hopefully he can get there.
Yeah, I think you definitely need that. That's something that this team, you feel really great about 1 through 6. I think those questions have been answered already about the batting power you're going to have in this lineup. But to make this team really, really deadly, I think if you can get some hitting from that catching position, it can really put this lineup over the top, and you won't have that much pressure on your pitchers to have to pitch a full game and have some of these crazy ace performances that you would want to look for if you didn't have those bats. So if you can find any sort of hitting from the catcher position for this lineup, I think you can really feel like yourself as one of the better teams in all the SEC.
Let's take a timeout, get back on time after a little bit of an extended first segment with Jay Johnson over there at the press conference at Alec Box Stadium. We come back, we'll take our sights toward the weekend, LSU and TCU. Lots of NFL talk in the second hour. We will open things talking about the conference championship games, and really excited that we just got confirmation that Jake Liskow from Locked On Bengals is going to join us at 1:15 to talk about Joe B. Jamar and those Cincinnati Bengals. That's all coming up on Hunt and Hill.
Holding down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
on Mondays off the bench? We'll recap Conference Championship weekend. Who made it to the big game? Plus, how did the Tigers fare in the SEC Big 12 Challenge? Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
SEC Big 12 Challenge coming at you on Saturday. Loaded schedule. We'll get to some of that in the second hour. But LSU and TCU, certainly the one that will resonate the most here for obvious reasons. 11 o'clock tip-off from Fort Worth. Pretty deep dive into TCU on the Hoops with Hunt podcast you can catch on the Guarantee Podcast Network. Talking about this team. It's got a couple familiar names to LSU fans if you really pay attention or you're into college basketball. Of course, Jamie Dixon, their head coach. They're 13-4 on the season, 3-3 in conference play in the Big 12. They beat Utah by 14, played Texas A&M back in December, won that game by 4. They beat Iowa State very recently, as about a week ago. They were number 15 in the country, beat Iowa State. Baylor got to them and beat them. They lost to Oklahoma State, lost to Texas this week in a game they really couldn't get it out of neutral offensively. This is a quad one opportunity for LSU as of today. I can't promise you that TCU will stay there, but if you go on the road, it's top 75. TCU is number 56 in the country, so this is still a nice opportunity for LSU to go on the road against a team that's pretty good, okay, but it's a chance to get a one that would be nice on the resume.
Yeah, you need as many quad one wins as possible, and if they're going to be in the quad right now, then you got to get that while you're playing that opponent. And I think especially getting that win over A&M, getting that confidence back, especially after being on that losing slate and just having that losing taste in your mouth and things going awry and you not really finishing games strong the way you have to and finding a way to win that ball game. I think that's going to give these guys a world of confidence going into this game in this big time, SEC Big 12 Challenge. I know there's a lot of Big 12 fans, jacking at the jaw right now, thinking they're going to have the upper hand on the SEC. This is a chance for this Tiger basketball team to go out there and get another win that you desperately need.
Look, I could try to sell you on the fact that this is a huge weekend for the SEC to make a statement, and it's big for the selection committee, and that would be disingenuous. That would be a little over the top. But I do think there's some importance to it. If the SEC goes out there, if Kentucky can handle their business against Kansas, what if Alabama can beat Baylor? LSU goes to TCU. There are some games on this schedule that the selection committee could look at and look more favorably upon the SEC, and that's always a good thing. I always bring this up. A perceived weakness of your conference is such a big deal. When LSU in 2009 won the SEC outright, went up to Rupp, won that game. Tasman hits a shot from the top of the key, and they win the game. They win the SEC championship under Trent Johnson. They got an 8 seed that year. That's just the committee saying, yeah, nice job winning the conference. It sucks. You've got to make some statements outside your league, and that's what the SEC has a chance to do, and it starts with LSU at 11 o'clock in the morning. This TCU team is pretty good on defense. They are number 4 in the country. In defensive efficiency, they are number 14 in the country in defensive efficiency. They're number 19 in the country in opposing points per game at just 61.4. And a lot of that comes from the fact that they are 239th in the country in possessions per game. They play very slow. I have a feeling this game is going to go slowly because LSU's defense is very good. They guard, and TCU is going to have a hard time getting into their offense. They're not a great offensive team. And then TCU is pretty good on defense, and they want to play slow anyway. So LSU would rather play a little bit more quickly, kind of get up and down a little bit. TCU's going to want to go slow. However, LSU likes to go fast with Pinson in there, with Senior Days in there. There's some young faces that may be a little more comfortable at a slower pace.
Yeah, I think so. But I think that plays into LSU's hand, especially with the amount of defense they play. Even with Pinson being out of the lineup, the last thing you want to do is finding yourself against this LSU defense time and time again with the shot clock going down and really not being able to get a good look at the basket. So I think for LSU, you're playing right into their hands of that stifling defense that really doesn't allow teams to score 80, 90-plus points. I think that's going to be good for LSU.
TCU offensively, number 303 in the country in three-point percentage. Number 305 in the country in percent of their points that come from the three-point line. They're not a very good shooting team. They want to get downhill and get to the basket. They're big. They're physical. We'll go through a couple of their players here in a second, but LSU's got to realize on defense, this is a team that is not very good at shooting. They want to get to the rim. They want to get to the free throw line. LSU's got to do a good job of keeping them off the free throw line and away from the rim.
Yeah, you've seen him, especially this is not an SEC game, so I'm sure Coach Wade should probably be licking his chops right now with this foul discrepancy they've been dealing with. But yeah, I think if you have a team that's struggling from the 3-point line and can't knock perimeter shots down, they play that switch in defense. You're playing right into LSU's hands. If you can't knock down those perimeter shots, they can rotate off guys and not play the penalty for it. It's going to be really tough for them to get to the basket, especially if they're going to, run that lineup out there with Reed, Fudge, and Eason out there. It's going to be really tough to get to the rim. So I think you're playing in LSU's hands again with that.
You may see LSU go pretty big in this game. TCU is big, and here's a stat that's huge for them into what they do offensively. They are third in the nation in offensive rebounding percentage. They rebound 38% of their misses. We know that LSU did a really good job of sending 2 through 5 to the glass on Wednesday. They won the rebounding margin. TCU has only lost the rebounding battle 3 times all year in 17 games. They are big, and they want to get to the glass. They don't care about jacking up threes. They don't care about how fast they play. They want to get to the glass. And so LSU, down on numbers, but they do have some size and length and athleticism. They got to rebound.
Yeah, that's something that we've seen this team have it struggle with in a couple of games, especially in SEC play, and allowing teams to get offensive rebounding. And if you have a team that's taller and they're missing a bunch of threes, it's going to open you up for offensive rebounding. So I think for Coach Wade and the crew, really getting that handled and really figured out, box out some of these guys and give yourself some fast break opportunities. They're jacking up, low percentage threes. Those are normally long rebounds. And with guys like Gaines out there, I know he's going to be looking to push it. So if you can control that and win that rebounding battle, it's definitely going to help you win this basketball game.
A couple of players of note for TCU. One I'll mention, not because of how good he is at basketball. He's a fine player. He starts at the 3 for him. He's a 6'6", 3-man who went to Bishop Gorman, which is where Mwani Wilkinson is from. He scores 8 points and 4 rebounds a game. I'm talking about Chuck O'Bannon Jr. Chuck O'Bannon Jr., obviously Chuck O'Bannon's son, Ed O'Bannon's nephew. I personally don't like Ed O'Bannon because he destroyed the NCAA football game. Now, he did some good things, putting some money in people's pockets with name, image, and likeness. I didn't get any of that because I was fat and slow and not very good at sports, so I didn't get on a video game. I like to sit on the couch, eat too much, and play the video game. He destroyed the video game. So I hope Chuck O'Bannon Jr. on Saturday goes 0 for 36 from the floor.
Yeah, look, he's their best three-point shooter right now. So we definitely don't need him heating up from the outside. I know Coach Wade and the crew, they're going to be really tuned in on him because really other than him, he's the only one really shooting a respectable percentage from the outside. So definitely want to have a hand in his face when he's shooting.
And if you're really into SEC basketball and you listen to my podcast, maybe when I go through the players on every team that we play for every game, Emmanuel Miller may be a name that's familiar to you. He was at Texas A&M. He was Texas A&M's best player last year. He's a 6'7", 4-man. Is averaging 8 and 7 for TCU. He is a driver, not a shooter. He wants to put it on the floor and get to the rim. He'll get some offensive rebounds, some points around the bucket. But at 6'7", he can be a tough guard. So Emmanuel Miller's a guy that LSU has to deal with. The last guy I want to bring up on TCU's team for something that may come up in this game is their 2-guard, Damian Ball. He is a 6'4" junior. He does score 10 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. But the stat that jumps off the page at me when you look at him, he averages about 5 turnovers a game in conference play. He turns it over 5 times in 3 of their last 4 games. He had a 7-turnover game a little bit earlier this year. That's a guy that LSU can trap. They can run guys at. He plays faster than anybody else on TCU team, and he's a pretty good player. He's a really good athlete. But if he's going to turn it over, if LSU's looking for a way against a good TCU defense to get good shot opportunities, make Ball turn it over 6 times in this game, and that'll give you 6 shots at the rim. That's something that came up when I was looking at the stats.
Yeah. If he's a guy that's going to play fast and really take away the rhythm of what they're trying to do for a TCU basketball team that doesn't really want to be doing that, it's the wrong team to be doing that against because LSU's got to definitely have that half-court trap ready for you. They're going to, bait you into dribbling through the court thinking you can make a play, and guys are going to be swarming. So if you're a high turnover guy going against this LSU defense, not a bad day to show up and try to play basketball.
I don't know if it's quietly or not. That's probably the wrong word, but Brandon Murray for LSU has averaged 18 points per game in the last 3. Since he's been asked to carry a little bit more of the workload when Pinson went down, he has answered that bell. I thought he was great in the game on Wednesday, making the smart plays, knocked down his threes, got to the rim a couple times for some really nice finishes. He's kind of finding his way as a freshman. That's a guy whose increased role has really showed more production. He's got to be big for them offensively. Eason and Murray are going to have to shoulder a lot of the load. I said this on the pod this morning. Like, Imwani's not going to shoot 9 times on Saturday. Fudge is not going for 20 points on Saturday. Neither is Eason. Neither is Sharif. if you're going to have somebody bust out and give you 23, 24 points, it's got to be Eason and or Murray in this game because the offense is going to struggle to come from just about anywhere else.
Yeah, we've seen Murray kind of take on that role, and to me, he just looks like he picked up where he left off, especially after missing a game or two. He's the best offensive player on the floor, I think, for the Tigers, especially right now with Days being in and out of the lineup. I want him to be in attack mode from the start. You tip that ball up. I don't care if you're coming off the bench or you're in the starting lineup today or this weekend. I need him being in attack mode, being aggressive, trying to score the basketball, because when he does that, it just takes so much pressure off the rest of this team, and you allow your defense to get set up for a TCU offense that's not going to be trying to go fast. So I'm going to be looking for Murray to be in attack mode.
LSU and TCU, ESPN 2 at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. How do you think that one goes?
I'm Tigers, man. I think I'm back on the wagon again. Back on the wagon. It was rough picking up for a little stretch there, but I think watching Murray attack the basketball and getting a little juice from Sharif, man, I think that. And with Eason coming back into the fold, I think the Tigers find a way to get this done.
I picked him to win, too. We shall see. You can bet on that game. We'll tell you how right now.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
Louisiana sports betting is officially here. No better place to get in on the action than the FanDuel Sportsbook that's in partnership with Treasure Chest Casino. Right now, new customers, listen to this, can place their first bet risk-free. If you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back in site credit when you use the promo code 1045ESPN, all one word, 1045ESPN. That's why right now, the perfect time to give FanDuel a shot. I also placed a wager earlier today on the Pelicans game tonight, maximum of $50 here, so I put 50 on it. The over-under on the Pelicans game tonight is 1 point. If the teams combine for 2, my ticket's going to cash. You can get that bet, too, on the FanDuel Sportsbook.
Yeah, the app is simple and easy to use with generous promotions every day. It's safe and secure with the best class customer service. And when you win, FanDuel will pay you winnings in as little as 2 hours. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook with promo code 1045ESPN to get started with a risk-free bet. And it's up to $1,000. So that's promo code 1045ESPN. 21 and up and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. Refund issued non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, reminding you they now have 8 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And if you're looking for that COVID test for holiday travel or you have a holiday event coming up, they're the place for you, as well as a flu shot. It's starting to creep up here during flu season, so if you need that shot, make sure you get that. They now have some available through December. You can find more information on their website, patientplusuc.com. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
For a Friday edition of Early Line, as we talk college hoops and get some picks from David Cobb of CBS Sports. Plus, we make some picks and some legal wagers for championship weekend. Join us at 2 p.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Big day in Louisiana as mobile sports wagering has become legal, launched at 8 o'clock this morning, and you can now download apps on your phone. We prefer that you would download the FanDuel Sportsbook. I have. I've got my $100 free code from the promo code we've been giving you for weeks. And now, if you saw that awesome deal that they've given us for today, I mean, there's a couple of them. One, you got a risk-free bet of up to $1,000 when you download the app. That's pretty good. Bet $500, you lose. $500 stays right there in your account. Can't cash it. You got to bet it, but it doesn't go anywhere. And if you win, you win, and you can cash that out. And then, as I mentioned, Pelicans over-under tonight is 1. I've already placed a $50 wager on that. When I get home, my wife will be downloading the FanDuel Sportsbook app, and she will be wagering $50 on the over-under of 1, because I know that betting's tough. It's tough to beat Vegas. I'm going to beat them on that one. I'm going to beat them on 1 on an NBA game. So this is an exciting day. I know you're a big Vegas guy, and it's still fun to go out there and go to a sports book, and that experience is still really, really good. Yeah. But there's something to be said for hanging out on the couch and punching one in from right there, and that's certainly available to people in Louisiana now.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not easy to snap your fingers and be in Vegas on the Strip. Sometimes you can't just do that. Sometimes it's easier to just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and place a couple wagers. I'll be doing the same. I'll be jumping in on that Pelicans bet, and I think I maybe land some on my Tigers this week, and I'm feeling real good about that one.
That'll work as well. I mean, I'm looking at Super Bowl odds right here. The app is so easy. They've got all the sports up there. I've been looking at NFL, college basketball, NHL, local, golf, soccer. I mean, they got everything. I can punch it over to golf. I've got the winners for the Farmers that's in round 3 right now. You can play some future plays there as well. Soccer, I don't know a dadgum thing about it, but you can wager on it. I got Nadal versus Medvedev in the Australian Open. So whatever suits your fancy, you can get after it on the FanDuel Sportsbook. And we will tell you about all the awesome offers they have every single day. They're going to have boosts and things like that. And the in-game betting is really cool, too. That's something I'm going to take a look at just on Sunday. As you're watching the game, you see something happen, you can just kind of punch in a live bet right there. That's something that I've never done personally, but now that it's legal and you got it on your phone, it's something that I'm going to look into on Sunday for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of Chiefs fans probably were jumping on that with 13 seconds of last weekend. That'd probably be a time to jump on one of those in-game bets. I wonder what the number was for that.
Well, I know the win probability went to almost 0, and then all of a sudden they couldn't figure it out, and they got 13 seconds to go right down the field.
Yeah, it's a wacky world of sports. But, hey, that's why we got the FanDuel Sportsbook app to jump in on that and try to make a little dollar off of that. So,
it's really – all you got to do is hook it up to either your credit card, your checking account, or you can hook it up to just to a debit card. And then I've got mine set on facial recognition. When I open it, it just pops right up, and they prompt you with all the different bets you can play. And so we'll be telling you about FanDuel moving forward. Certainly we understand there are a lot of options out there, but FanDuel is giving you some great free cash. So jump in and make those wagers right now. Is there anything that looking attractive to you on the NFL side of things here? I'm kind of looking at these numbers. They've got a bunch of props as well. They've got, as I mentioned, the Super Bowl odds. You're looking at the over-under of 54.5 on the Kansas City Cincinnati game. I think that's one that I'm going to play the over on there. But we talked about that yesterday, and we'll preview that game here coming up. But I think the offenses are going to run wild in that game.
Yeah, it's looking like that, especially if Tyrann Mathieu's not playing for that Chiefs defense. You saw what they did to them last week with number 2 and number 3 receivers. Stephon Diggs only had 7 yards. So you can imagine with Joey B coming into town and throwing for well over 400 yards the first time they played. Both of those offenses are going to be extremely hard to stop. So, yeah, I think that over, unless they have it like in the 70s or something, that over is going to be looking juicy.
There's some interesting props on here. Every team to score 1 passing touchdown in the conference title games, minus 160 there. Every team to kick a field goal, minus 125. Any team to have a 2-point conversion over the weekend, plus 110. If anybody gets a 2-point conversion, any of the 4 teams, plus 110. That's a pretty good bet there. And then every team to score 2 touchdowns in the conference title games, plus 120. So props aplenty there on the FanDuel Sportsbook, if that's something you're interested in. We kicked off today's show with LSU baseball. Jay Johnson was at the podium. We played about 18 minutes of audio from him over there at Outback Stadium. Again, if you want to get out and see those guys this afternoon, 3 o'clock scrimmage from over at the box, free admission. You can come on in and check out the Fighting Tiger baseball squad over there. Also looked at LSU and TCU in the 12:30 segment. In the second hour, we are jam-packed. We will kick things off breaking down these 2 conference championship games. Very excited to have from the Locked On Bengals podcast. We're going to have Jake Lisco jump aboard at 1:15. We'll talk about the SEC Big 12 Challenge in baseball and basketball. And, of course, we will take it or leave it. So loads to get to in hour number 2. We are working towards the weekend here. Hope you are as well. Stick with us for another hour. Of course, you're listening to the Capital City's leader in sports talk. It's Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Yo, Jake here from Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, reminding you they now have 8 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And if you're looking for that COVID test for holiday travel, or you have a holiday event coming up, they're the place for you, as well as a flu shot. It's starting to creep up here during flu season, so if you need that shot, make sure you get that. They now have some available through December. You can find more information on their website, patientplusuc.com. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Bayou Ford has 0% for 60 months on new Ford F-150s. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million-mile powertrain warranty. And now 0% for 60 months on Ford F-150s. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back in. Hour number 2, Hunt and Hill. Loads to get to here. Jake Lisco from Locked On Bengals will be with us here in about 15 minutes, but it's time to get into this deal with the conference championship games. They are upon us Sunday. They are kicking off. KC and Cincy, and the Rams and San Francisco. That's a divisional matchup there. We'll start in the NFC side, Jeremy. Obviously, San Francisco swept the regular season series between these two. Shanahan has beaten McVay 6 straight, which kind of shocked me to hear. I know that the Rams weren't as good last year, not as good as they were in their Super Bowl year, and certainly not to what they have been this year. But to see that San Francisco's beaten them 6 in a row is surprising to me.
Yeah, it's very surprising, especially a Rams team that has been to a Super Bowl, has won a lot of games, especially in that division. It's very shocking, but sometimes teams just have your numbers. It's a matchup-driven league, and sometimes you have those wacky opponents. They may not be 13-3 or 14-3, but they just match up extremely well with you. And I think for this 49ers team, who's a run-heavy team, and the Rams team is really based off a pass rush, it's just a bad matchup for them. And you got Jimmy G, who just can't lose to the Rams. He's had a great career against the Rams. It's very shocking, but they definitely have done it, and I think for them, they feel extremely confident going into this game.
You mentioned that running game with San Francisco. Deebo Samuel in the first meeting, 8 touches, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Niners won that one 31-10 in Week 10. Then in the game in Week 18 that the Saints were so intently watching, Samuel 140 total yards and a touchdown, and only 12 touches in that game. They just don't have an answer for him.
Yeah, he's just a matchup nightmare. And I think if it was a traditional way, he's lined up outside every single play, or, he's, lined up in the backfield every single play. Shanahan does a phenomenal job moving him around that field and putting him in advantageous positions to really make plays. He's getting jet sweep reverses. He's getting toss plays as running backs. He's matching them at receiver in the slot outside. You're going to see him lined up everywhere. That's why it's so hard for defenses to really key in on him and try to stop him. So I really intend on him having another big day against that Rams defense.
Speaking of big days, that's all really Cooper Kupp knows at this point. In the 2 games combined, he's caught 18 of his 20 targets, 240 yards and a touchdown over the regular season. And the 49ers have put the clamps on the Rams' rushing offense. They just can't stop Kupp. Los Angeles, in the 2 games that they played against San Francisco, just 3.1 yards per carry on the ground. It's going to be kind of up to Stafford to go get this thing.
Yeah, we've predicted that last week against that vaunted Bucs rush defense. We know how good that Bucs rush defense is. It's similar front that you're going to have to deal with the 49ers, with Armstead and Bosa on that defensive line. It's very tough to run the ball against them. They rarely blitz linebackers. They really dominate you with their front. They got my boy Arden Key out there too, so he's made a little impact over there too. So I really see this game being on Stafford. If he can play a clean football game, not turn the ball over, that's kind of what happened in their second matchup of the year. Had some turnovers, and it really cost them. So I think for the Rams, they want to put Jimmy G in as many positions where he's having to throw the ball down the field and seeing if he can beat them. If you let the 49ers just run their offense and run plays, misdirection here, run it down your throat, it's going to be a long day for the Rams because Stafford's going to be on the sideline.
It's just such a big game for Stafford. That goes without saying. He'd never won a playoff game. This is the biggest game he's played in his entire life. And, as we look at it, it looked like they're probably not going to be able to run the ball that well. You realize, well, this is kind of the way it should be. If he's going to define his legacy differently than the talented guy who made a bunch of money and was a number 1 overall pick and toiled away when nobody cared in Detroit, got a chance to flip that on his head. All of a sudden, you can become the Super Bowl winning quarterback who also threw for a bajillion yards and potentially could make his way to the Hall of Fame. I mean, we're not there yet, but we're looking at that as a possibility now, where it never was in Detroit. So only 64% of his passes completed against San Francisco this year. 4 touchdowns, 4 picks. He throws 1 touchdown and 1 pick tomorrow or Sunday. They're not going to win.
Yeah, no, it's going to be on his arms. I really see it being a tough day. We saw Akers really try to get the run game going for them last week. It didn't work out too well for them, and I think it's going to be very similar this week. McVay, people really get it mixed up with McVay, thinking he's just, air it out, air raid offense. They want to get the run game going. They want to get you sucked in, your backers, crashing into the line, and then they'll start Cooper Kupp and Odell on some of those crossing routes and really get you mixed up. But it's really difficult when they don't get that run game going. That's why Stafford sometimes has a lot of pressure on him, and he has had turnovers. But if he can play clean, I really like the Rams in this game.
We'll see. It's just as you mentioned, it's been a bad matchup for them. Incidentally, as we talk about the quarterback play with Jimmy G and we talk about Stafford, no Brady or Rodgers in the conference championship games for the first time since 2009. It's not that hard to believe because the Patriots made a living in the conference championship games every single year, and of course the Packers show up more often than they don't. But just kind of crazy that one of those guys has been involved for 13 years straight. All right, it's time to go to the AFC. Now, I have my LSU quarter zip on here. We were talking about LSU baseball. We talked about the basketball team. It's time for a little wardrobe change here as we get to the AFC championship game. Hold on a second.
Uh-oh, Joey Cool, baby. Joey Cool.
Here we go. Got the Joe B shirt going today. As I mentioned, this is the biggest NFL game for me personally and emotionally since the mid-'90s when Aikman and Emmett and Irvin were out there in Dallas. I've lost my love for the NFL. I had no team to root for. And then all of a sudden, this guy strolled into Baton Rouge, set every record in the world, and took me on the greatest ride ever. So we are forever indebted to Joey B, and we are riding with the Bengals into Kansas City. The question is, what kind of chance do you give your former team to go to Kansas City and get a win?
It's 9 day, man. It's 9 day going into Arrowhead with Mr. Mahomes back there, Mr. Michael Jordan behind the back, between the legs, underhand pass, man. It's very hard to win in that building. You're going to have to play sensational. You're going to have to take care of the ball. You're going to have to go for it in any fourth and short situation. Sometimes on your side of the field, you're going to find yourself going for it in those situations because all of the pressure that he puts on opposing offenses and opposing teams, their offense is back flying on all cylinders again. We know they had those lulls in the middle of the season. They're back rolling again, and that's a scary, scary offense to have to go against. But there's not one guy I wouldn't bet against. I can't bet. I can't lay my head on my pillow at night knowing that I bet against Joey B. This is a bad boy right there. So I got the Bengals in an upset, man. I don't know if I'm laying anything on it, but I'll tell you right now, I got the Bengals in an upset, going to Arrowhead, slaying the Giant, and going to the first Super Bowl they've been to in a very, very long time.
Look, you mentioned the Chiefs' offense is rolling. There's no doubt about it. These two defenses, the Chiefs are 26th against the pass. The Bengals are 27th in the pass. That's what we talked about, probably taking the over in this game, and we mentioned that in the last segment. It should be an offensive shootout. However, we've seen this Chiefs defense late in the season play great, and the Bengals have only allowed 35 total points in their 2 playoff wins, so it's getting a little bit better. The Chiefs got after Joe, sacked him 4 times in Week 17. We know he got sacked 9 times by the Titans last week. Really, the question is, can this Cincinnati offensive line hold up? That was the same question we had in August of 2019. Can that offensive line keep him upright and let him go to work? If they can, I think Jamar, who went for 265 against this team, will make some plays. I think that T. Higgins will get open. Boyd will get open. Uzama, they've got enough weapons with Mixon to make it work if the offensive line can hold up. But I have my doubts on whether or not that's a possibility.
I think you said it best there. You mix in there. I think that could be the best thing that could happen for this Bengals offense. Get a run game going. He hasn't had that big, huge, explosive day where he's, over 100 yards, couple touchdowns. I think if you can do that, that's going to really keep Mahomes off the field for one, and then it's going to keep the defensive line off of Joey B. When they're in obvious pass situations and the defensive line can pin their ears back, I do not trust that offensive line to hold up and really do their job at a high level. But if you can get that run game going, keep Mahomes off the field, really make them respect that and mix some play action in there, and now you got Jamar Chase one-on-one on the outside, that really helps your chances for a Bengals offense. So I'm going to be looking for Coach Taylor and the crew to really try to get Joe Mixon going and really take some pressure off of Joey B.
It's the ultimate, have you been there? The Chiefs are trying to become the 4th team in the history of the league to reach 3 straight Super Bowls. The Bills did it, of course, lost all 4 of those. The Dolphins did it back in the 70s, and the Patriots with Brady did it, got to 3 straight. But the Chiefs are bidding to do that. Interestingly enough, the Chiefs, over their last 10 playoff games, the Chiefs are 8-0 against the NFL and 0-2 against Tom Brady. There's a stat for you. They beat everybody but Brady, and he got him twice. Obviously, Burrow, getting lumped into that category far too early, but he's obviously playing great and has a chance right now to really ramp that discussion up. If you can go to Arrowhead and outduel what is probably the best quarterback in the NFL and the team that is certainly the most proven to this point over the last 3 years, you really have announced yourselves, and I can't wait to go to Cincinnati here to talk about this Bengals team and just what they've done. Jake Lisco from Locked On Bengals, but you were there for a long time. What do you think it's been like this week in Cincinnati?
It's been amazing. It's been ruckus. I think for that city, that organization, just so many years of getting so close, winning the division, getting the playoff games, and just coming up short time and time again. It really takes a toll on you. It really, those butts in the seat aren't as many as you would think, especially for a team that's playing at a high level. So you get your team to this point, this is what makes legends, and I think that's what Joey B's trying to go for, legendary status. He's accomplished that at the college level. Now he's trying to do it in the big leagues where it really matters, and you want your name to be heralded as a top 5, top 10 quarterback year in and year out. You got to make deep runs in January and February, and that's exactly where he got this Bengals team and organization. So I know they're jumping for joy right now. I know they're extremely happy with what he's done with this franchise and really how far he's taking them, but the job's not done. And I think that's why I've really grown to like Joey Burrow as a quarterback and as a man. Just not happy with the regular stuff that guys will be excited about. He wants the big trophy. He wants that Lombardi trophy, and he's not going to stop till he gets there. So I got to give my Bengals, man. I'm going for the Bengals in this one.
Look, I'm going for them. I'll be locked in. I can't wait for the game on Sunday. I am going to go with both home teams this weekend. I think you're probably going to have a lot of people jumping on the 49ers this week just because of the matchup, like you mentioned, what they've done to this team over the years. I think there's a real good argument to be made that San Francisco is the better team. I just think that the Rams are going to outscore them. I think that the Rams, the weapons they have, and Stafford at quarterback is just going to do more, even against a really tough team, than San Francisco is. Now, look, they can take Jimmy G. San Francisco can eliminate Jimmy G from this game if they play the way they want to, just running it down your throat and playing good defense. I just think the Rams are going to do enough on offense to score enough points to win it, and I just think the Chiefs are playing too good now. I watched a lot of that Bengals-Chiefs game back in January, and they looked great that day, and the Chiefs' defense is not great, and hopefully Jamar can get going, and when we're watching highlights of it right now, I think the Chiefs are a more consistent product, and I think the weakness of that offensive line is finally going to get to them. But I'm very much hoping to be proven wrong. We'll take a timeout. We will go to Jake Lisco, who covers the Bengals for Locked On Bengals, and we'll talk about what this ride has been like for that city, for this team, and what kind of chance he gives those Cincinnati Bengals to go to Arrowhead and spring the upset. That is next on Hunt and Hill.
Serving up the latest from the sports world. It's Hunt and Hill.
We've been telling you about it. Louisiana and sports betting is finally officially here. No better place to get in on the action than the FanDuel Sportsbook, which is in partnership with the Treasure Chest Casino. Right now, new customers can place their first bet risk-free. If you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back in site credit when you use the promo code 1045ESPN. That's why right now is the perfect time to give FanDuel a shot. I told you about it in the previous hour. I'm going to tell you about it one more time. I took the Pelicans game tonight. The over-under is 1 point. That's not made up. It's not a typo, not an error. 1 is the over-under. I've got the over for a max of $50. Jump on the FanDuel Sportsbook, create your account. They'll credit you $50. You can play Pelicans. 1 is the over-under. Free money.
Yeah, the app is simple and easy to use with generous promotions every day. It's safe and secure with the best class customer service. And when you win, FanDuel will pay your winnings in as little as 2 hours. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just sign up for FanDuel Sportsbook with the promo code 1045ESPN to get started with a risk-free bet, a bet up to $1,000. So that's the promo code 1045ESPN. 21 and up and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager. Refund issue non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Bayou Ford has 0.9% for 60 months on new Ford F-150 plus $1,000 bonus cash. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. And right now, get $1,000 bonus cash plus 0.9% APR for 60 months on new.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR. Presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Right Radio Hours return. The latest on the Saints coaching search. And we'll preview LSU, TCU, and hoops. Join us 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hooday, baby. It's a Bengals show. Got a former Bengal here, Jeremy Hill. Got my Joe B shirt on. I'm locked in, and we are excited to welcome the host of the Locked On Bengals podcast, Jake Lisco, to the show. Jake, how are you? Thanks for some time.
I'm doing great, guys. How you guys doing down there?
We're doing good. This town is really taken to the Bengals. Obviously, this is a Saints part of the world here, and when the Saints season ended back at in Week 18, and we all kind of started looking at the playoffs, and everybody's kind of adopted Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and the crew up there in Cincinnati, and it's been a really fun run. What has this been like for the Bengals fan base this year after having a tough run?
Oh, it's been a weight off of the Bengals fan base's shoulders, I think, for the most part. But real quick, no Eli Apple. You mentioned Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. No love for Eli.
Not a lot of love for Eli
like
Apple these days. And Sean Payton mentioned him in his farewell press conference that he was pulling for Hendrickson, pulling for Von Bell, and kind of Eli. So yeah, Eli's ruffled a few feathers down here.
Just kind of Eli. Yeah, I thought that was really funny. But for the Bengals, I'm 33 years old. Been covering the Bengals for 3 years now on the Locked On Bengals podcast, and I never got to cover a winning team before this year, and I've done a lot of football work in my life, but I've never seen them go to an AFC Championship game. I was too young to remember it. So for Bengals fans like me, and there's a lot in my generation, this is a big bugaboo off the back, right? Like there's this weight and this anxiety over playoff games because of the results with Carson Palmer and Andy Dalton, and then Joe Burrow's first try at it. He gets a monkey off the city's back.
So what's the attitude of the fan base? I realize the team is locked in, and we know about Burrow and his approach and his mindset, but of the fan base, is this man, this has been so much fun. We get a chance to maybe go to the Super Bowl, or is this like a nervous, we're going to win this game?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that, you ask Chiefs fans, they would tell you that Bengals fans are being cocky. But you ask Titans fans that same question last week, I think they would have told you that Bengals fans are sleeping on the Titans. Meanwhile, Titans fans are predicting 10-point victories, and I'm sitting there thinking, who's sleeping on who? I think that for Bengals fans, they saw the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They saw Joe Burrow go toe-to-toe and actually, in my opinion, outplay Patrick Mahomes, who had, it's easy to forget, you look at the box score, he had 2 passes dropped by Bengals defenders in that game. Now, the Bengals probably can't afford to drop Patrick Mahomes' potential interceptions this time around, but I think it's a little bit of both. There's the anxiety, a little bit of, you don't get this opportunity necessarily every year, and Bengals fans know that. It's the first time they've had this opportunity in over 30 years. And at the same time, there's a lot of excitement because of what Joe Burrow is doing for this football team.
Talk about Joey B and his protection last week and taking 9 sacks. Does that cause you any concerns going up to Kansas City to play on the road in another road environment?
Absolutely. I think noise was a factor, too. I think they had a hard time communicating and getting protection set and making adjustments at the line of scrimmage with Tennessee's crowd noise, and I think it'll only be louder in Kansas City. They've been pumping the crowd noise through the speakers of Paul Brown Stadium this week to prepare for that, but it's a mixed bag of things. I think that some of the sacks are, just like I said, they had communication issues, getting the protection set at the line of scrimmage. Joe Burrow and C.J. Uzomah both have talked about they made a few mistakes in the communication part of their game against the Titans, and part of it is just they've had a rough go at right guard. The right guard against Jeffrey Simmons, Hakeem Adeniji, had a tough time. He's going to have a tough time again this week with Chris Jones. They had a tough time with Chris Jones last time they saw him, but they also lost Quentin Spain in that game against the Chiefs, so he'll be back, and that should help on the left side of the line of scrimmage at least. And the other thing is, as much as we love Joe Burrow's propensity to make plays and extend plays and make guys miss in the pocket and find guys off script, he'll acknowledge this too. He needs to be a little bit choosier with where he's choosing to take that risk, because there were a couple times against the Titans where it really lost significant yardage, made field goals harder, took them out of scoring range. And so some of that's on Burrow, some of that's on the offensive line, some of that's on communication, some of that's even on Zach Taylor. I think he needs to get the play calls in a little bit faster, and that's something that he talked about in his press conference this week, to give Joe Burrow an opportunity to make all the checks at the line of scrimmage in a louder environment that he wants to make.
Look, we all love Jamar Chase down here. He's a New Orleans guy, Tiger, Biletnikoff Award winner, and there was some element of satisfaction when the Bengals did take him, but most of us down here, myself very much included, wanted the Bengals to go offensive line. What was your reaction when they selected Jamar Chase, and what has he meant to this offense in his rookie year?
Yeah, we could have had that debate leading up to the draft. I was on the Jamar Chase train. I could see the argument certainly for taking an offensive lineman, whether it be Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater, whichever you liked better. And turns out both of those guys are pretty good players. But Jamar Chase has been a fairly transcendent wide receiver as a rookie, smashing records left and right. The argument for me was that I thought they could have done more in free agency on the offensive line. They, of course, signed Riley Reif. They draft Jackson Carman in the second round. They draft Trey Hill in the sixth round. And those guys don't really contribute. Hakeem Adeniji was a sixth-round pick last year, ends up starting at right guard. And Isaiah Prince opted out last year, ends up starting at right tackle after Riley Reif gets hurt. So I thought they could have done more in free agency. But regardless of that, to me, there was this potential for Jamar Chase to transform the offense and unlock Joe Burrow's deep ball the way that he helped unlock Joe Burrow's deep ball at LSU. And that just happened immediately at 21 years old, torching the NFL. And so that's kind of the best case scenario I think we've seen play out for Jamar Chase. And at this point, there's still football to be played. We're not really ready to talk about this offseason yet. But when we are ready to talk about this offseason for the Cincinnati Bengals, we're going to be talking about how is this year going to be different for the approach on the offensive line, because he simply can't be hit this much.
Jake Lisco, Locked On Bengals podcast. If you're like me and have kind of adopted the Bengals as your team outside the Saints, great place to get your information, the Locked On Bengals podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at Jake Lisco. How does this Bengals defense put up a fight against this dynamic Chiefs offense?
I thought they did a pretty good job, box score aside, against Patrick Mahomes the first time around. They were really disciplined with trying to keep the ball in front of them, playing a lot of too high stuff, the way that teams tried to slow down the Chiefs early in the season when they weren't the offense that they are right now. Did a good job of staying patient and choosing their spots when they blitzed and went single high. I think that it could be a little bit better in that regard. They got torched on 5 out of 6 plays when they got aggressive and blitzed, but one of those blitzes got them off the field and held the Chiefs to a field goal in the red zone. So I think it's a lot of that, remaining discipline, remaining patient in terms of defensive play calls, in terms of your defensive scheme. You look at how Buffalo got a ton of pressure on Patrick Mahomes last week. I think it was something like 40% of his dropbacks he was pressure, but he did a great job of getting Bills pass rushers in the air with head fakes, with pump fakes, with little juke moves, whatever it is. The Bengals need to do a better job of containing. They didn't really get to him the first time around. They did get some pressure, though. And so with Trey Hendrickson against Orlando Brown on the left side of the Chiefs offense, I think that's going to be a really interesting matchup. Hendrickson, as you guys probably know pretty well, loves to win running the arc. And Orlando Brown, if he has a weakness in his pass protection game, I think it is running around the arc with some of the better speed rushers in the NFL. So if there's an opportunity there for Trey Hendrickson to do what he's done, come up in the clutch and be part of creating a turnover, that could certainly turn the tide. But when Patrick Mahomes is playing quarterback in the playoffs, he's going to get his. And for me, I think it comes down to those swing plays, those turnover opportunities. You can't drop 2 picks this time around if you want to try to steal one on the road in Kansas City.
I think for this Bengals offense, a guy that they should probably try to feature and get going is Joe Mixon, who only had 14 carries a week before. Do you think Coach Taylor really tries to feature him this game, or he leaves the ball in Joe Burrow's hands?
I think that since the 49ers game, when Zach Taylor decided to run the ball twice in the red zone and put his team in a 3rd and long in the goal-to-go area, I think that triggered a change in Zach Taylor's approach to play calling in that he is riding with Joe Burrow now. They're riding his arm until it falls off, as one coach told me at one point a few weeks ago. And I think that has to continue to be the approach against Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying you never run the ball. I think there are opportunities to get Joe Mixon involved, especially if the Chiefs do make significant changes to their defensive approach and decide, we're going to stay too high in this game as well. We're going to treat you like you're going to treat us on offense and keep a safety back over Jamar Chase. And in doing so, also make sure we don't get killed on the other side by T. Higgins on a one-on-one. If they get those kinds of light box opportunities, I think there is a chance to run the ball with Joe Mixon a little bit. I just don't think it's going to be a run-first kind of game. And I don't think it should be either. Now, you go back to the Tennessee game, what the Bengals did, I think, to keep Joe Mixon involved, because he's a really good player. He makes defensive angles look bad all the time. He's got great acceleration, pretty good power as a runner, is they got him involved in the passing game as well. He ended up going over 100 yards from scrimmage in that game. They just weren't all rushing yards.
He is Jake Lisco, Locked On Bengals podcast. Follow him at Jake Lisco on Twitter. Jake, thanks so much for your time. Really enjoyed it. Maybe we'll do it again previewing a Bengals Super Bowl.
I would love that more than anything, man. Let's do that. Let's have that happen.
Enjoy the game on Sunday. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Cenk Lesko locked on Bengals. I'm fired up. I really am. I'm ready to go. I'm excited for the game. I'm going to cook some food, and hopefully the Bengals can get it done. Again, I picked against them in the last segment. I apologize. I'm just trying to tell you what I think. I think the Chiefs are playing that good. But we just watched Joe torch these guys, and I have no doubt that he's going to come ready to play. It's just a matter of whether or not they can slow down the Chiefs and whether or not they can block up front, which is my biggest concern in the game.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough stand. I know they're getting their left guard back in Spain, but I think that Jones and Clark and some of those guys are going to be coming after passer. They're going to force Joey to get the ball out quick, but you got great matchups that you really think you favor with Higgins, Boyd, Uzama, Chase, obviously, and then, like you said, mixing out of the backfield. So Joey's going to have his weapons there. He's just going to have to be laser sharp with his decision-making and getting the plays in and out and really trying to get some of those blitzes blocked up. But I like the Bengals, man, for whatever reason. Something about this team and something about Joey B, man. It's going to be hard for me to bet against. So I got the Bengals.
Jeffrey Simmons and Chris Jones love all the three same guys that are in the Mississippi State Bayou Ford chat. We got to be thrilled with all that. 30 minutes left in our work week. Come back with us. Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer. Jeremy Hill. Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
6G. Network.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hunt and Hill, The Early Line. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Yo, Jake here from Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, reminding you they now have 8 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And if you're looking for that COVID test for holiday travel, or you have a holiday event coming up, they're the place for you, as well as a flu shot. It's starting to creep up here during flu season, so if you need that shot, make sure you get that. They now have some available through December. You can find more information on their website, patientplusuc.com. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that...
Monday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're live at Rouge Creole in Perkins Row, recapping all of the college and NFL action from the weekend on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Look, it pains me every November and December. I have to bite my tongue and do it, but it pains me. I have to pull for these SEC teams that I hate to win basketball games. Now I've got to do it one more time on Saturdays. A nice opportunity in the SEC Big 12 Challenge for the league to get some impressive wins, and I have to pull against some teams that I really, really don't like, but I'm going to do so. LSU is the first game at 11 o'clock. We broke that one down in the first hour, talking about Tigers and Horned Frogs. Auburn, number 1 in the country, will welcome Oklahoma in. It's a pretty average Oklahoma team. If you'll recall, Lon Kruger has moved on. Porter Moser, the former Loyola Chicago coach, now at Oklahoma. They got a nice win over West Virginia this week, but Auburn at home, I expect will just keep on rolling. That is a freight train that I don't see slowing down really anytime soon. Now, they did play pretty poorly in Columbia this week, but I think that's just part of the 18-game grind. I don't expect to see them on their home floor lay a similar egg.
Yeah, I don't think so either. This is a 13-7 Oklahoma basketball team, and I think for Auburn, this is a chance against the Big 12. I think they'll get up for this one. I know it's tough to play Missouri in the middle of the week. I think this on the national stage, I think they're going to get Auburn's full attention. It's going to be too tough for Oklahoma to overcome that.
I think Missouri's a bit of a sacrificial lamb coming up on Saturday. They're going to a ranked Iowa State team that's 11-2 on its home floor in Hilton Coliseum, so not much of interest there, but two teams going in absolute opposite directions at Bud Walton Arena at 1 o'clock on ESPN2. West Virginia, who has lost 4 in a row, will play Arkansas, who has won 5 in a row. After Musselman's team got out of that 0-3 start, they've started to tick, and it's really because they get it in J.D. Noteday's hands and move out of the way.
Yeah. It seems like as soon as he had that little shoulder surgery, that team has just been playing the lights out since then, and Note's taking the role of being the scorer for that team. There's not a shot that he's seen that he doesn't like, and he seems to really score when they really need him to. So I think it's going to be too much for West Virginia. They just lost to an Oklahoma basketball team, so I think Arkansas is going to continue that losing streak.
I like Arkansas's guards with Note and Lyles and those guys against that West Virginia pressure that they're going to put on them all over the floor. I just don't think Arkansas is a team that's going to buckle to that. If West Virginia was coming to the PMAC and LSU didn't have Pinson and they were limited offensively with their guards, I might be a little bit more concerned. I think Arkansas, as veteran as they are, I don't think that's going to phase them, so I like the Hogs in that one. A big chance for Alabama and Coleman Coliseum. They welcome in the defending national champions, number 4 ranked Baylor. Baylor's 5-0 away from home. They are 19-2 on the season. The Tide have kind of been giant killers this year. They beat Gonzaga. They beat Houston. And they played some big-time games. They've also lost some disgusting games. This will be a full Coleman Coliseum. It ought to be rocking in there. The question is, can they make any shots against Baylor?
Yeah, I think for this Alabama team, they should all just walk around campus where you live by the 3, you die by it, because that seems like just exactly what that team's taking on. When those threes are falling, they're a really tough team to beat because they have so many guards that can beat you off the dribble, and they're knocking down those threes. It's really tough to overcome that. But when they aren't falling, that team really is not a really high efficient defensive team. And so I think this Baylor team is going to come into town and continue some of these just tough losses for this Alabama program.
So, Ole Miss has lost Jarkel Joyner. He hasn't played since the 8th of January. He is their best player for sure. Matthew Morrell's kind of picked up a little bit of the slack. They welcome in Kansas State. Not necessarily a huge game, by national perspective or even for anybody around here, but Ole Miss does play LSU on Tuesday, so this is a team that LSU is going to be familiar with real quickly. We'll see if they can take care of business on their home floor against a pretty mediocre Kansas State team.
Yeah. Kansas State, normally an okay basketball school, but I think for Ole Miss, they've had their ups and downs this season. Some good wins, and also some bad losses. But I think for this one, I think Ole Miss at home. I think if they're on the road, I would not like them in this situation. But I think at home, I think they find a way to beat Kansas State.
Oklahoma State's been decent this year. Florida has been decent this year. That's really not the storyline here. We're going to start making some significant overtures towards some jobs in this conference that are in trouble. Mike White's one of them in Gainesville. Conzo Martin is one of them in Columbia, Missouri. You could look at Oxford, Mississippi at Kermit Davis and see if there might be an issue there. But I absolutely think Mike White's got to start winning more games than he loses, and that's got to start with an average Oklahoma State team. I mean, you just start to play uptight, and sorry, you don't have Colin Castleton. Everybody in this league's dealing with injuries. LSU's got him. I just mentioned Ole Miss doesn't have Jarkel Joyner. Kentucky's got 2 guys out. Like, sorry you don't have them. Like, you got to produce, and they're not winning games.
Yeah, that's just really the nature of college basketball. You're going to have guys in and out of the lineup, especially now with COVID around and injuries. But for Florida, it's all about expectations. I think you follow up with Billy Donovan, all the great things he did there. It's not okay to have some of these seasons at Florida with the recruiting you can get done and just all the winning they've done over the past few decades. So I'm going to be looking just like you are for Mike White to try to get this thing turned around. And I think for LSU's sake, too, it wouldn't hurt if Florida kept winning some basketball games.
That's where we're going for these next 3. These 3 are really high profile for the conference. Obviously, you look at Alabama getting a shot at one of the top 5 teams in the country in Baylor. But Kentucky's going to Fog Allen, which will be maybe the best environment of the year in college hoops to have those 2 blue bloods in Allen Fieldhouse. I don't have a Kentucky updated injury report at this point. I don't know what Ty Washington's status is. I don't know what Jacob Toppin's status is, but they got Oscar Shibwe and they've got Xavier Wheeler, and they're going to go to Fog Allen, and that would be a huge win for what I still contend is a a Final Four good Kentucky team.
Yeah, they're talented. They're talented. They got guys who can hit the outside shot. They got guys who can attack the rim and are high flyers. And like you said, the best big man in all the SEC, a guy who's a walking 2020. You got half of those guys out there. You feel like you got a fighting chance. But I think Coach Self and the crew, it's going to be too much. I think Kansas at home. I think especially if they got a couple guys out, I think it's going to be too much for Kentucky.
Kansas has not lost in Fog Allen this year. They're ranked 5th in the country. 17-2 is Bill Self's crew. So that's a huge one. That would be really good for the SEC if Kentucky would win that one. Everyone would take notice of that. And, of course, that's a Kentucky team that LSU has already beaten. So you will take that. Another top 15 team that the SEC will get a swing at, Mississippi State, is going to Texas Tech. Obviously, this is a ferocious Texas Tech defense. Even with Chris Beard moving on to Texas, we'll talk about them in a second. They're still great on defense. Mississippi State is going to have to find a way to score, and you know who it's going to go through.
Yeah. Mississippi State's definitely going to have to find a way to score, but again, I think this is a bad matchup. This is a bad matchup for Mississippi State with this Texas Tech defense and just how they've been playing all season, obviously being ranked in the country. Too much for the Bulldogs. I think Texas Tech pulls out on this.
Iverson Molinar is going to have to score 30 for Mississippi State to win the game. So we'll see. He'll try. He will put up a bunch of shots. We'll see. And then the last one, 10 games in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. The Rick Barnes Bowl. It's just ugly orange everywhere. Tennessee is headed to Austin to play in the Irwin Center against the Longhorns. Texas is 12-1 on their home floor this year. We'll see if the Vols can go down there. They were in a chippy game against Florida on Wednesday, and we'll see if Santiago Vescovi and the boys can go down to Austin and get a win. I like Tennessee in this spot to go down there and win the game. Look, Chris Beard's going to build a really good program there at Texas, and they're pretty good this year. You're talking about a team that's 15-5, 12-1 on their home floor, like I mentioned. But I like Tennessee's veteran presence to go down there and get a win. It probably depends on whether or not the non-veteran Kennedy Chandler plays a really good game like he did against LSU at home, or if he plays a really bad game like he did in the PMAC.
Yeah, I think, to me, I'll go to their bigs. I think taking Fulkerson out the lineup for whatever reason, that's giving them a jolt. They got a lot of energy from their foreign big.
Euros Plavsic, he's a street fighter. He's going to get in a fight every game. He got in a fight on Wednesday.
Yeah, no, for whatever reason, getting him into that lineup, I think, is giving them some juice. Now you got a guy that can come off the bench and give you some score, and I think Fulkerson's taking that role on. He comes off the bench looking to score, and if you can get Vescovi hitting those outside shots, and like you said, Chandler, if he can keep those turnovers down and continue to get in the paint and create matchup problems, I think Tennessee can definitely go on the road and win that basketball
Speaking
game.
of teams that might be in the market for a coaching change, I mentioned at Missouri and at Florida and at Ole Miss. Athens, Georgia may be the place for a coaching change as well. They are not good. They are headed to Vanderbilt, to Nashville to play at 5 o'clock. And then the other game, South Carolina at A&M. We put the bottom tier of the league's got to go play conference games because there's only 10 Big 12 teams. So that's what you're looking at. I mean, how much stock do you put in this how important the SEC's performance is. If the SEC is able to say beat Texas, Texas Tech, and Baylor, and say Kentucky loses, but if the SEC is able to go and knock off 3 of the high-profile teams in the Big 12, does that help LSU at all?
I think it'll help for some of these teams' tournament bids, especially towards the end of the season. But I think as far as after that, I wouldn't put too much stock into a Saturday game in the middle of January. It's really not too much you can put into that, especially with not really much being on the line for this. So I think if anything, it'll help your tournament resume. That's about it for me, though.
All right, we will see SEC Big 12 Challenge, LSU and TCU, the first ones out of the blocks at 11 o'clock from the Ed and Ray Schollmeyer Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. If you missed our breakdown of that game, it was in the first hour, and you can catch that on demand at 1045ESPN.com or, as always, on YouTube, where the Bayou Ford chat is a buzzing. One more segment left. We're coming back with to close out the week on Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Brake Medics, BrakeMedics.com. Brake repair anywhere. They make house calls. They will come to your house and change your brakes. Great prices, unbelievable convenience. I'll start you with the prices. $229 for a single axle changeout, $449 for front and rear for most vehicles. And look, when they come and change those brakes, 24-month, that's obviously 2 years. I think you can handle that math. 24,000-mile nationwide warranty. They do it all at their home and office. No catching rides, no waiting rooms, no traffic. Prices and convenience just can't be beat.
Yeah, all you got to do is go to BrakeMedics.com for your free quote today. You log into their website, you put the make, year, and model of your vehicle, and whatever brake symptoms your vehicle may be dealing with at the time, they'll have all those options right there on the website for you to punch in. And you just put your name, email, and phone number, and BrakeMedics.com will get back to you with a free quote today.
They will service you anywhere in our listening area, Baton Rouge, the surrounding area. They'll even go to the North Shore and to Hammond as well. So if you're listening in those areas, give them a call. Go to the website, BrakeMedics, BrakeMedics.com. We make house calls.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today.
On Mondays off the bench, we'll recap Conference Championship weekend. Who made it to the big game? Plus, how did the Tigers fare in the SEC Big 12 Challenge? Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Brian Burgess in the Bayou Ford chat says, first time I've ever seen Hunt in anything but a quarter zip. Well, have no fear, Brian, because the quarter zip is back on. Got the Joe Burrow shirt on today, but it's like 8 degrees in the studio, and I'm not wearing a short sleeve t-shirt for one more segment. I'm going back with a quarter zip, but we're fired up for our Bengals to take the field on Sunday, and had to show my support for Joe B. I got the Bengals polo that was my birthday present this year. I will be wearing that on Sunday, getting ready for the game. And then my mother-in-law got me a birthday present that just came in the mail yesterday. Joe Burrow fathead for my office.
Hey,
Bengals gear. So that's going up in the new cubicle when we get those next week. We shall see. I'm all decked out. I didn't play for the Bengals for 5 years like you, but hey, I can still support the squad, and we'll be doing so on Sunday. Let's do some take it or leave it to finish things up.
Alrighty here. My boy Carmelo Anthony, he got 2 fans ejected last night for saying some unacceptable words as the Lakers were down double digits in the fourth quarter. Are you taking or leaving NBA players getting fans kicked out of the arena?
I will take it. In some circumstances, it's warranted. I would say most circumstances, it's not. That's easy for me to say as I sit here and nobody's yelling at me. But I think that there's probably a sense of rabbit ears in most athletes that, look, it's just part of it. You're going into an arena of some sort with somewhere between 10 and 100,000 people in it, depending on what sport you're playing. At times, people are going to yell at you. That's just part of it. Now, if they're too close or they're saying things they don't need to be saying, we can get them run, which is why I'm taking it. But I think more often than not, it's just part of the deal. A series of proposals that would have put all Class 5A high schools in the same playoff bracket in Louisiana failed. Louisiana needs 9 football state champions. Take it or leave it, Jeremy.
I'm going to leave that.
Thank
I think
you.
I'm in the old school mentality. I guess I'm that guy now, just so removed from high school football. But yeah, to me, it's like, why are we separating? Like, if we got the same amount of kids in the school, let these schools play against each other. We got the private league, public league, big. I can't even keep up
It's a bunch
anymore.
of adults crying. It's what it is. It's a bunch of adults crying in a room is what it comes down to. And for Louisiana to have 9 state champions is a joke. It's an absolute joke. To win 3 playoff games and be a state championship team is not the way it should be. It's just not. And I understand there are a lot of kids that are going to lace it up in August and go to practice that have no chance to win a state championship. Guess what? I did it for 4 years in basketball. We weren't going to win, but we competed like crazy. We won a playoff game that I was really proud of when I was a junior, and that's just part of it for some teams. It's part of it for some teams in college, too. It's just, and to try to cheapen the state championships by having 9 of them in this state is ridiculous. But the adults are going to cry about it, and that's just what it's going to be. So that's what it comes down to. The Baltimore Ravens replaced their former DC Wink Martindale with the youngest hire in the history of the franchise, Mike McDonald, just 34 years old. Mike McDonald going to bring that Ravens defense back. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it for right now. Just so much he has to prove, I think, on the NFL level. I know he has some NFL coaching experience, but to me, I just with the division, looking around that division and dealing with Joey B now, I know the Steelers are going to want to revamp and get a quarterback, and I know Taylor Swift's Baker Mayfield. He's going to be eager to have a season next year, so as much as I want to say, yeah, the Ravens defense will be the 2000s Ravens defense. I think those days are far removed. So I'm gonna have to pass up on that one. All right, the Chicago Bears They hired they hired Indianapolis Colts defensive coordinator Matthew Eberflus to be their next head coach. Are you taking or leaving? This we've got Bears Twitter jumping for joy.
I'm leaving it. It's just the Bears Twitter's a mess. They hate the owner. They fired a Ryan and a Matt as general manager and head coach, and hired a Matt and a Ryan. And now they want to get Matt Ryan to be the quarterback. So they can just only have Matts and Ryans in the entire organization. That's all they've had. But they're now starting to get iffy on Fields. They got a defensive head coach. We'll see. They're a mess up there in Chicago, and I think that's probably going to continue moving forward. I think we got one more talking about the SEC Big 12 Challenge.
Yep.
Let's just go ahead and look at it. I mean, I think it sounds like a cop-out when I say I think they're going to split, but I think that's actually a bold take to actually say exactly how many each team's going to win. I've got LSU, the SEC winning 5. I've got LSU over TCU. I've got Auburn over Oklahoma. I've got Arkansas over West Virginia. I've got Florida over Oklahoma State. And I've got Tennessee over Texas. I've got the Big 12 winning the others. So I've got Texas Tech beating Mississippi State. I've got Kansas over Kentucky. I've got Kansas State over Ole Miss. I've got Baylor over Alabama. And I've got Iowa State over Missouri. That sound about right to you?
That's going to be pretty close. I think my list is pretty close to that. I got LSU winning. I got Auburn winning. I also have Arkansas winning. I have
Bama?
Ooh. No, I do not have Bama winning. I don't know. I'm looking at this Ole Miss. I would not be shocked if Ole Miss loses that one, but I'll take Ole Miss. Okay. And I'll take Florida. So I'm right with you with the 5.
You going to get that FanDuel Sportsbook app jacked up this weekend? Start to place a few wagers
there? Oh, yeah. That -7 is looking juicy with the Bengals, man. I think I might have to take – I don't know if I'm taking them outright. I don't know if I'm doing the money line play, but that's taking the free points. I'll take Joey B with free 7. Give him a touchdown lead to start the game. I'll take Joey B in that.
Look, this is not just for the app. This is just for your own good, because it's about what I'm about to do when I go home here in a second. I'm taking my wife's phone and I'm downloading the FanDuel Sportsbook app, and I'm taking the over-under in the Pelicans game tonight. It is 1 point. Literally 1 is the over-under. If one team scores 1 basket in a 4-quarter NBA game, you will cash the overcheck. I've already placed my $50 bet on it. My wife will be placing her $50 bet on it quite soon. And we'll have $100 free in our house to play with. So download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and place those wagers. What a fun show. We kicked things off with the baseball program. Jay Johnson was at the mic for Media Day. So we heard from him, gave us our thoughts at the beginning of the show, talked LSU, TCU, and some mobile sports betting. A lot of NFL talk there in hour number 2. That included our chat with Jake Lisco of Locked On Bengals. Our Citizens Bank poll question of the day asked you, who is going to be in the Super Bowl? Overwhelming majority say Bengals and Rams, over 50%. We'll see if that is the case. Matt's going to drive you home 3 to 6. Don't miss your guys with the early line. They are coming up next. That is, of course, Mario and Musso. I'm headed to the box for the 3 o'clock scrimmage, watching the Bengals on Sunday. Hopefully they're headed to a Super Bowl. Maybe the Tigers can get things done on Saturday up in Fort Worth. We're talking about all of it when we come back Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. It's Hunt and Hill.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment